are the most impactful habits that I put in place in 2023 that I am definitely going to be continuing in the new year. Let's go. Hey, how's it going? It's Laura. It's gonna be a chatty one, but you know what it's like. You try something out, you put a habit in place, and it just doesn't work out. It's too complicated, it requires too much effort, too much sacrifice, it is too time consuming, or you just run out of motivation. But every now and again, you stumble across something that sticks. So I want to share my 5 from this year, the ones that made the biggest difference, plus 3 kind of mindset shifts. Not necessarily habits, more so kind of ways of thinking, but also definitely helpful. First one is something that I have tried in the past and it never worked out for me, and I honestly don't know what the difference was this time. I can kind of guess, but I'm not entirely sure. Sometimes I feel with goals it's just a matter of timing. That was the case with this one. In 2023, I finally properly, successfully integrated time blocking into my work life. Here's why I think it was successful this time. So in the past, I had kind of said, okay, this entire day is going to be for one particular thing. This next day is going to be all geared towards another. Any time I tried to implement it in the past, never worked. This year, suddenly clicked. I made a list of all of the tasks that I do on a weekly basis, the regular ones, recording videos, editing videos, creating social posts, all that type of thing. And then I tried to work with my energy levels throughout the week. I think that was the difference. I think that made all the difference, because I know for me, the days that I record, so previously, okay, I would say, okay, you know, whatever day is going to be a recording day, I'm going to record all my videos on that day, but recording is exhausting. So I worked with my energy levels, and maybe this is it. Maybe it's because I have many years behind me now, many years of experience, and I better understand how I work. I read Cal Newport's Deep Work, great book, highly recommend, but he talks about working in kind of 90-minute chunks. And this is something that I have kind of been working towards for quite a while. So now with my time blocking, I give myself 90-minute chunks of work, plus a substantial break in between, and then I go back and do another 90-minute chunk. Since I implemented it, I have made some little tweaks and changes so that it better represents my work week, and so that it better kind of accommodates, you know, I was finding that some blocks weren't long enough, etc. I think I have the perfect system for now in place. Does it run smoothly every single week? No, it doesn't, but is it a really solid framework for me? Yes, it is, and it has been working wonderfully for me for months now. Another thing working wonderfully for me, and again, this is something that I have made some changes to, it's taking 2 full days off in a row. Okay, so hear me out on this one. Previously, what I was doing was taking Saturday and Sunday off, but Sundays are my reset days. So they're the days that I focus on chores, like I do a lot of laundry and tidying up and that type of thing, and I back up all my devices and I charge things and so on and so forth. But it's also like included in that is some work. So I try and reply to all the emails that came in that week. I try and reply to comments and things on my videos, on my social posts. It's just kind of like a chore heavy day. So I never felt rested. And then I was finding on the Saturdays that if something came up, I was really resentful of it, because Saturday was kind of like my one day to just sit on my arse, do nothing. I was like, oh, this is eating into my free time. I decided Fridays and Saturdays would be my days off. Worked this into my time blocking thing. If something crops up, I don't feel bad about it, because I know that I still have another day off. I think when you work for yourself, it's really easy to get into that mindset of I need to be working all of the time, because I am the person who runs my business, and if I'm not working, nothing's happening. So it's easy to get into that hustle mindset. Hi, how are you? You wanna come up? There you go. What you been doing? Have you been napping? Yes. Have you been having a day off? Every day is a day off for Jovi. oh, it's an exhausting day of lying around and being fed. Yes, I know. I'm going to be moving the camera now, but you can stay here. I'm just going to move like this way. Next on my list is something that, that I implemented with my husband. Actually, these next two involve my husband. First one, monthly budget meetings. We have not been the best at staying on top of our finances. It was very easy for a long time to like not look at the money side of things because we had a lot coming in, but the truth is we also have a lot going out. And now with this like wanting to move back to Ireland, we know that we have to start saving for that. Like that is going to be a big expense. So this year was the year we got serious about our finances, and we do monthly budget meetings where we sit down and we look at where our money went this month, and you know how much we have in savings, how much we can add to that, what were some areas where we kind of like wasted our money, what was money well spent, all those types of things. I have like a template done out where we can list all of our expenses. Not always a fun thing to do, but it's been really helpful for us to see where our money is going, particularly nowadays when the price of everything is skyrocketing. I mean, it is eye-watering. So when we first started these, we were spending a specific amount on groceries. I was like, absolutely not, that's insane, let's try and reduce our grocery spend. Switched like supermarkets that we were shopping in, was doing out lists, all of that type of thing, like really trying to be careful about it. And we did initially save money, which was great, but now our most recent budget meeting, I realized that because the price of things has gone up, we're back to basically spending as much as we were before, even though we have cut back on lots of things and we're kind of only shopping for the things we need. It's frightening, honestly. Yeah, keeping a close eye on those things has helped us to see where we can afford to cut back and keep Jovi in the lifestyle that she has become accustomed to. Isn't that right? Oh, to be a dog. You just lie around all day, have people feed you, have people tell you that you're doing a great job. It's wonderful. You don't have to worry about anything. No bills, no responsibilities. Someone else takes care of all of that for you. And they still love you. They don't feel any resentment. They're not like shouting at you to go get a job or to grow up or to clean up after yourself. No, you're not expected to do anything and you have everything handed to you. What a life. I know. Now let's move back here. Next one is also something, like I said, that I implemented with my husband, and it is monthly dates. Hello. We have been together for a long time, and it's very easy to just kind of get into, not a rut, but just like a routine. We live together, we're both very independent, so we kind of do our own thing, and you know, that works out for us, but it's still important, I feel, to make regular time for each other. So this year we decided we were going to do monthly dates, and they didn't have to be like big extravagant things, but even just going out for lunch. This was a way that we could prioritize us and our relationship and our friendship, really. And not only is it like forcing us to spend time together, but we're usually going to do something fun as well. So we're going for experiences, we're creating memories together. I think that's important, like not even just for a couple, but even just like as an individual thing, to say that you went to the theater or you went to a particular new place for lunch or dinner. Those are all just nice things, even on a personal level. I've noticed this year that even though I am perfectly happy to do things on my own, like I'm very independent. I have gone to concerts on my own too this year. In fact, I'm happy to go see a film by myself. I'm happy to do so many things on my own. But I do feel, and it's something that's one of my kind of like goals for 2024 actually, it is to balance solo adventures with shared experiences. I think there are certain things that are just better when someone else is with you, someone that you care about, someone that you like. I don't need monthly dates with you because you're just glued to me 24/7. I never wanted a dog. Yeah, and then like she came into my life and the two of us are pretty much inseparable. Joke's on me. I'm working just to keep this one and toys and treats. Before I move on to the more kind of like mindset things, which were incredibly helpful, by the way, the final habit on my list is leaving my phone and my tablet in the bathroom at night. This is something that I kind of always wanted to do, but I never really felt that I was one of those people who was stressed out by checking their phone last thing at night. It never seemed to like interrupt my sleep or anything, as all those studies say it does. I didn't wake up and, you know, like feel bad because I looked at social media. Like I curate my social feed very carefully. So usually what I'm seeing is something that I want to see. It's something inspirational or something that makes me happy. So for the longest time, I thought I don't need to do that. But a few different things changed this year. One of them, and it's kind of a silly thing, but it has happened a handful of times, where I will receive an email or a comment that is basically negative. This year I received an email that was really hurtful, incredibly hurtful, and completely out of the blue, with somebody that I have been emailing back and forth. We've had kind of like a friendly acquaintance, online acquaintance type thing, for a while. And then, yeah, out of the blue, I received this really nasty email from them. And because I checked it last thing at night, I then couldn't sleep, basically. Like, it ruined my night. So that was kind of the first thing where I was like, you know what, I don't need to be checking my emails or my comments or anything last thing at night, because chances are I'm going to see something that I don't want to see, and then I'm going to stew on it, because I'm a very emotional person and I take things personally. So yeah, that kind of ruined things for me. And another thing I noticed was that even though in the mornings I don't necessarily see anything stressful, although again occasionally you'll get you know, a not nice comment or email or something, the thing I noticed was that I was spending a lot of time in bed scrolling on my phone. Like, I wanted to get up and start the day, but first I had to scroll through my Instagram feed, and I realized it was taking me 20, maybe 30. Hello, she can hear the dog next door barking, so she's like on full alert. Do you mind? Yeah. Okay, down you go. Down you go. Good girl. So now in the evenings, I put my tablet, I put my phone in the bathroom, and that's it. Like, just close the door, and all I have beside me then is a book. I read my book, and then I'm good. Anyway, I'm not preaching to anybody. If you check your phone first thing in the morning, that's totally fine. I would encourage you though to like make sure that you are curating your feed so that you're only seeing helpful, inspiring content or something that actually makes you happy. Now for the three kind of like perspective changing things, the mindset shifts, and I've made a whole other video actually on this first one, so I'm just going to kind of gloss over it very quickly. But a big change psychologically for me this year was learning to accept things. I made my peace with a lot of things. I learned to forgive myself for past mistakes, so I'm really leaning into this idea of accepting things that are in the past that I can't change. Like, if I could go back and change them, would I? Yes. But I can't. Like I said, I've made a whole other video about it. If you haven't seen it, I will link it for you. But this was a very cathartic, healing year for me. Kind of similar to that then, but the next one is learning to lean into certain phases in my life. You know, I'm a perfectionist, and so when things aren't perfect, I tend to be hard on myself, or I tend to work really hard to try and change things. I would find that, you know, let's say I tried to implement a habit and it was going well in the beginning, and then inevitably I hit like some bump in the road, and I would beat myself up over it. And this year I learned to lean in to certain phases and just accept them for what they were. So let me give you a very real example of kind of like where this all came from. I go through phases of like, phase one, I start waking up really early, and I will get up and I will go about my day, and that will be great. And then inevitably I will get to a phase where I start sleeping in more. You know, I start waking later and later. During those phases, I always feel bad, and I think like, why can't I get up early? Like, why am I not getting up early anymore? Like, I'm wasting the day or whatever. It's just like on and on. And this year I decided, you know what, I'm just in a phase where I need to sleep in a little bit more, because again, like, all this experience that I have, I know that things are cyclical, or they move in waves, or you'll go through one phase and then you'll come out of it and you'll go through another phase and then you might go back. And I've noticed that pattern in my life. I go through some phases where I'm waking up really early, I'm all like go-getter, and I'm out like walking the dog before the sun even comes up. And then there are other times where I'm lying in bed for a long time, and I've learned to accept that. I've learned to embrace whatever phase I'm in. I'm not beating myself up over it. I'm not trying to change it. I'm just accepting it for what it is. It's a phase, it has come, and it will go. And I'm super excited about this next one because this is something that has plagued me for years, and I have just been desperate to change this. Am I fully over it? No, but have I started the process? Yeah, will I ever be fully over it? I don't think so, but I'm definitely a lot better. I have come a lot farther than I ever thought I would. It's getting over, or starting to get over, my fear of flying. I have never been a confident flyer. I don't like to fly, but it used to be the case many years ago where I just didn't like takeoff. Like that kind of like sudden change in altitude would make my stomach flip. But then once we were up in the air, I was fine, unless we hit like a little patch of turbulence, and then I'd kind of be like, ooh, again. But then I noticed after a while, it was not just takeoff, it was also landing. And then that evolved until last year. We went on a trip to Florida, and I was pretty much panic stricken the entire flight. You know, I had got to the stage where I was dreading having to fly anywhere, and I never let it stop me. I still got on a plane every time, and honestly, I don't know how I did it. I have come off flights where I have had to like go into a bathroom stall and basically just stand there kind of like swaying and staring at the wall and completely dissociating, just like mentally checking out completely, because that's the only way that I can deal with that. It had just kind of like got really bad for me, and we went to Florida. And when we got off the plane, I said to my husband, I was like, I don't know if I can fly home. And I was literally like Googling how long it would take to drive all the way back. So I came back, I went to my doctor, I was like, give me drugs. Okay, I normally do not take any sort of medication, like I have to be in a bad way, but this had come to a bad place. So I was like, I need something, like just give me whatever's the bare minimum, like let's just start off at a very low dose. But then this year, my dad had his organ transplant, and I got the call, and I knew I needed to hop on a plane, and I also knew that apart from the flying, it was just going to be a very stressful experience. So I went to like a CBD store, got myself some CBD gummies for the first time in my life. I went to another store, got myself some melatonin, but I was at the stage where I was like, I will try pretty much anything to just like get myself on a plane and not be absolutely paralyzed with fear the entire time I'm on that plane. But fast forward, we had another flight to take this year, and I really wanted to kind of like mentally prepare for it. And I started reading articles on, you know, turbulence and what it's like. And I was looking up, because you can take classes, like not flying lessons, but classes for people who have a fear of flying. And apparently they're incredibly successful. So I looked them up. Unfortunately, there were none in my area. But in doing that, I kind of fell down the rabbit hole, and I started reading all about it, about what turbulence is, like reading articles written by pilots, all sorts of things. And I have to say, in the past, when I had read those articles, because it's not a rational thing, I understand, like I've watched videos, I've read articles on like the science behind how a plane gets up in the air and how a plane stays in the air, and you know what turbulence is and all of that. And it just never, it's not, like I said, it's not a rational thing. I get onto a plane and I'm like, I am going to die. This plane is going to fall out of the sky. It doesn't, there's that disconnect. As soon as I'm on the plane, all logic, all rational thought goes out the window. Not in the sense that I completely forget everything, but my brain just doesn't accept it. But this year, for some reason, I was reading these articles, and I really started to kind of like internalize them, and I started to visualize, and yeah, there were just like a multitude of things that I did to really mentally prepare myself. I actually shared an Instagram post on it. I will link it in the description if you also have a fear of flying and you want to know like what are some kind of techniques that have helped me over the years. One of the things was kind of like reframing my nerves as excitement. So like it wasn't that I'm afraid to fly, it's that I'm really excited to go on a new adventure. And you know, for me, it had got to the stage where even seeing a plane fly overhead made me anxious. Like I started sweating, like my breath would get really shallow, like that. It was just like at crazy levels, totally ridiculous. Like even just walking the dog, if I saw a plane, I would start getting palpitations. It was absurd. So I went and did something about it, and yeah, I think it's really helpful now. Every time I see a plane flying over, I'm like, oh, how exciting, somebody is going on an adventure, somebody is going on holiday, someone is going home to see their family, or someone is going to visit a friend, or whatever it is. So I've really worked hard this year to change that. Do I ever think I will be a confident flyer? I don't think so. I think I will always have some reservations about flying, but if I can get myself back to the stage where it's just more a kind of a nervousness rather than an outright panicked fear, like just terror. Like I get on a plane, I'm sweating, I'm crying, I'm hyperventilating. I think I'm gonna pass out. Like I legitimately think that I'm going to die. And that's not a nice place to be. Now listen, I get it, habits, they're not always the easiest to implement, and sometimes you can waste time on some, put effort into something that's just not working out. So over the years, I have put together a list of kind of like set it and forget it habits, habits that are really easy to implement but have a massive positive impact. So click right here if you are looking for minimum effort, maximum benefit type habits. And until next time, go raibh míle maith. Agus feici leis sibh go luath. Slán.